What is going on, Chris? Can you hear me?
I can.
Beautiful. It's almost like I know what I'm doing.
Let's not get crazy here. Episode 97. As we are getting close, buddy, to the big triples, the triple digits.
We did it.
That's crazy. It's actually crazy, to be honest, that we've just sat here and talked crap about VR for.
Regardless of our success, we refuse to give up. You will listen to what we have to say, regardless of whether you care or not.
But for those who have stuck around, and for those who continue to tune in, and it is growing slowly but steadily. People seem to at least be entertained, even if they don't agree.
It's like when we put out steady content, they enjoy it.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, we're on fire, buddy. We're putting out like 2 or 3 videos a week. Woo! And like with that has to go with the patrons. You guys are awesome. The ones that have kind of stuck by us through the ups and downs. And of course, if you want to support the channel and you're interested in being a patron, check that out. But just being here, listening to us fools talk, and participating in the chat, awesome, guys. We are recording another episode ahead of time and having to do a live premiere. We did that on Halloween because Halloween, and we're doing it this time because Ryan's ditching me. He's going out of town.
My work schedule is messing with us, so
but we refuse to stop. We refuse.
We're trying hard to be consistent. We're trying hard. How's it going, Chris?
Good.
That's good.
Yeah. Should we just? I guess we could just get into it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what have you been playing? I mean, the big one for me is obviously Metro. You guys should check out my review if you haven't already. It's a beefy one. It is. I will admit it's got a little bit of length to it, but I do think it's worth watching and listening to. Specifically because when Ryan and I decided that we were going to do this episode ahead of time, we as in Ryan, put a post out onto the community there asking for you guys to participate in what you wanted for a possible episode topic, and we got a couple of the same requests, so that's what we're going to do, and that's going to be a focus on the kind of meta partner program, and just kind of we're going to give you guys a look behind the curtain about what that really means, not just for us but for other channels, and whether it's something that you should be concerned about. We're going to just clear the air on that. But more specifically, somebody asked in regards to Metro, saying that they felt that that they thought that maybe some of us content creators were getting overly enthusiastic about
We're shills. We're shills.
Right? That's the shill commentary. And that person specifically that asked, I won't out their name there, but one of the things I did say to them, and I encourage you guys to watch the video if you haven't already, and participate in the conversation going on there, is kind of it's not a perfect game. I mean, it is. He made comparisons to kind of Vertigo games, and he thinks that content creators in this space kind of seem to be overly optimistic, I guess, with like Vertigo's games. And I can speak for Ryan. I think that both of us, that's not the case with us. What did you get?
Oh, I didn't tell you? No. I've been selling out this whole time. I didn't tell you. I've been getting paychecks left and right over here.
What? No, I mean, I've been very clear, and I made it a comment in my review that I had said right from the get-go when I heard that Metro was coming from Vertigo Games, that their games weren't good enough to be Metro games. I mean, Arizona, we have Arizona Remake now, so I feel like Arizona 1 just kind of drops off there.
It really does.
It's very dated. It's very dated.
It's so bad.
I actually just played
by today's standards.
I just played through the remake, actually, front to back, including the DLC with a buddy over the last couple of days. And, I mean, it's very, very Arizona Sunshine 2. Now that they've done that remake, right? It really does feel like that game. We had a really good time front to back. I mean, we probably put in, I don't know, maybe 8 hours total to beat that and the DLC, which is, man, playing that DLC, I forgot. They're really short. They're like an hour.
Yeah.
And they end very abruptly and on very down notes.
Yep.
Like all your efforts that you're putting in to fight the cause just
yeah.
But anyways, we enjoyed them. We had a good time. I am in no way delusioned that these are awesome games or fantastic VR games. They're good. Like they feel like they are coming from a VR studio working within a budget.
Mm.
And After the Fall did as well. I would say that After the Fall felt like a bigger budget game as far as just like, I don't know, the
I'm still
overall
listening. Ignore me.
the overall kind of production quality of the game. But it had no content. And so I feel like, and they've obviously added some, but it still lacked content. Like I would say that like where After the Fall is right now with content is where I think it should have hit the ground running at the bare minimum.
Are they still releasing content for that?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But I believe they added probably, I'm going to say like 3 maps, some guns, some cool guns, and
Okay.
and some and like they added like an LMG, and I feel like they might have added a melee weapon. I don't really remember, to be honest.
Melee, you say melee weapon.
Melee. It's been too long. It's been too long since I played those games. But it's just like, again, Arizona Sunshine, I feel, was like a content thing. Not Arizona, sorry, After the Fall. And that brings us to Metro. And I'd said in my review that I very much felt the DNA of Vertigo games throughout Metro.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that.
But it's a huge level up for them. And
I also agree with that.
And I was telling Ryan there earlier that Brian on Parole, I thought he put it well when he said that this isn't the best Metro game. He had just played the first 2 games, I believe, recently to kind of, because he hadn't played the series. And he's like, this is not as good as those first 2 games. I agree with that. But it's also a huge level up for Vertigo games. Like, it's a big leg up for Vertigo games. And
we're good.
So, I mean, that has to be said. And I guess it's just like context. I mean, the one guy in particular went on to talk about the fact that I feel like he's like, well, we seem to blow Sunshine up Vertigo's butt, or us and other content creators. And he's like, well, like, this is just not Resident Evil. Like, this is, I think he maybe thought that it was going to be that level of quality. You got to understand, like, even Metro, coming from Arizona Sunshine devs, and it obviously has a higher budget. It looks like a higher quality game. It's definitely playing in a sandbox that starts to include some bigger titles like the Resident Evil games, but they are not Capcom type budgets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would be surprised if the catering costs on Resident Evil Village would even cover the Metro. So, I mean, I just feel like that's the context you have to just put it in there. It's just like they're competing only, kind of, sorta.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. They're not on the same level, and like Buddy said, like it's sit there and say you're gushing over this game like it's the next he said, I mean, I'll find it here exactly, but he said basically that people were gushing over this like it was like the greatest looking game ever. And it's nowhere near the levels of Resident Evil 4 or 8 and he mentioned, of course, like the biggest VR games out there. And no, it's not on the same level. Like you just said, it's budgetary, but this still looks really good. And I disagree with some of your review as far as some of the visual stuff goes. It does definitely feel like it was built for Quest and then upgraded, like, and then maximized, but still built around that, like, as opposed to the opposite of something being dumbed down for Quest, and thus having just greater presentation on PC or PSVR 2. Like the shadows, dynamic lighting is kind of all over the map. There's a lot of environmental lighting, which looks beautiful, but it is static. You can see, like, flames, but if you actually look at the light from the flames, it's not really affecting anything nearby. Everything nearby looks yellow and glowing and beautiful,
yep.
But there's no actual movement, and you'll see that throughout, where any still image of this game looks beautiful because the static lighting effects, and it's not all static, but they look fantastic. But when you notice the missing shadows and it's not all things. Some things have dynamic lighting, some things don't. NPCs don't. But so when you see it, when you see it, it's awesome. But when you don't see it, or at least when I didn't see it, I missed it. I really did, especially coming off the heels of Batman, when it was so impressive to see those dynamic shadows in a Quest game. To not see that on the PSVR 2 or PCVR versions of Metro, it was kind of like, why? And I know it's a lot of work. I know lighting is a big deal, but it still felt like it was missing, and it shouldn't be.
I feel like I think some people misconstrued, like when I say dynamic lighting, I don't necessarily mean dynamic shadows.
Mm.
And so
Mm.
there's a lot of things. I feel like there's a lot of different techniques being used. Very little actually, like I don't think anything casts the shadows of your body, if I'm correct. Like I
No.
know the flashlight doesn't. Nothing there casts shadows in real time. I don't know if anything does other than the fact that some characters in some settings are casting shadows, but even that could be kind of baked in. Like there could be tricks there, right?
Yeah,
I
there's
don't think
cutscene
this
like the cutscenes and stuff, and the pre-scripted
yeah,
events kind of have it when you're not in
yeah.
control, but
But
when
I
you
don't
have
think
control
there's
again,
really any dynamic shadows at play, but there is dynamic lighting. For example, like the PC and the PlayStation, something you just notice in those early scenes, like when you're on the 50 cal and all like the monsters, I don't know, the mutants come down the subway, and you can see like there's a red light flashing and it's spinning, and I mean it is casting a light as it's spinning. It's not just a baked in uh
mm, yep.
like effect or anything, and it looks really nice, and it's completely absent from the quest. A lot of that extra window dressing, especially like moving lights, things like that. um but yeah, like there's some really neat lighting techniques that are obviously cheating a little bit. Like there's this one part where you're in a very dark cave system, and there's like a light source that's like falling on the ground, and it's casting this really bright light kind of across a body and onto like say like a subway car or something. And you kind of like walk in there, and it's almost blinding to you, and it looks amazing. This is
Mm,
on
mm.
PC, but there's no shadows being cast there. Um, I'd have to go back and play the Resident Evil games. To be honest, I don't really think there's a lot of dynamic lighting happening there either. I mean,
I mean, I can't recall
it's
offhand
just been
either,
too
honestly.
long now, right? I
Yeah,
don't
I
remember
agree.
it. And I'm gonna guess that Resident Evil, I'm like, and guys, if I'm wrong, tell me, but don't burn me at the stake because it's just been too long. I'm trying to think. I think there was some dynamic shadows, but I do feel like okay, so I'm before I get forward on that, I guess what did you disagree with me in the review? Because this is rare for us. I like this.
Well, no, it's just like I said, the idea that this was like, I mean, you compared it to Half-Life Alex, and I
But
Alex still is benchmark when it comes to visuals, and I don't. Metro looks good. I'm not saying Metro looks like trash. It has a few we just talked about the lighting, minor issues, but the character models look, it looks. I hate to say questy because, but
I don't think it
it
looks questy.
no, it does not questy, but it does look like it's like going. Like, I guess obviously, I guess I hopped back between PC for a little bit, but I was hopping back between Quest and PSVR 2 quite a bit. So doing that, I could definitely see. I like the game is the same on either one. It plays identically. And so I could just see all the things that were added to it from the Quest version, but I still saw the Quest version.
Yes.
And so in talking about Half-Life Alex, I just don't think it's in that conversation. It
Now,
looks good. I don't think it looks close enough to Half-Life Alex to say it belongs in that conversation.
I guess maybe I didn't communicate it clearly enough in my review, but my point for comparing it to Alex is I said that with all the, especially the lighting and particle effects and the overall quality of presentation to the game, it's in the ballpark. I feel like, I mean, if you're looking at PC VR games, especially, I mean, it's unfair because Oculus had some amazing games with like Lone Echo and Stormland and stuff back in the day, right? This I just feel like, I guess there's not a lot that's gotten close to Half-Life Alex on PC that's just like absolutely stunning. This
Mm.
game can look really stunning, especially when you kind of just like you just kind of take it at a quick glance. Like if you're just walking through some of these scenes, even in the headset, like at times it looks drop dead gorgeous. But, and this is what I think you're getting at, is that it shows some of its quest routes in the fact that I feel like this was definitely a game where they had to take it, had to, but they took into consideration the lowest common denominator, which was the Quest 2. And there are quite a few of the in-game uh, assets, like almost everything, but like the walls, the floors, like even all the big stuff, even you get up close to it, it it's blurrier. It's not, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny when you get really close to it. And there's some things like if you say like machinery, like generators that you see in the environment, and desks and lockers, and just like even the controls on the trolley car. You just look at them and they're really blurry. Like some of them are really low resolution. Some of them are quite blocky. Some things,
Mhm.
and it's like ew, like and they mix and match that with like higher resolution textures. And I know specifically the Quest 2 and 3, one of the things that they included in there that was an upgrade on the Quest 3 was that it was using higher resolution textures. So I think that like there's a lot of a mixed bag going there, but even on its best showing, like the PSVR 2 and the PC, you can see low res textures. And
Mhm.
Alex didn't have to cater to that. It was PC or bust. And so like when you look at the walls and the floors and all the items in that, it looks like some of the high end AAA games that we have seen over the last like 4 years, even in flat games. Like you get up to a wall, it looks really good still, and it holds up to scrutiny. So
Mhm.
it's that attention to detail that it's like yeah, Metro Awakening is one of the best looking games on PC today. Just don't look too closely.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. Like I said, I'm not saying it's not a good looking game. I've actually, like I said, when I was going through which version I was going to play this on, my PC Quest or um PSVR 2, I was going to go PC, but my PC now is just showing its age. I could run it on like mediocre settings, and then it would just, I was like, don't want to do that. And then that Quest, I'd lost all my saved files, so to go through the game again, I was like, you know what? Let's enjoy the haptics. Let's enjoy it still has all the PC features as far as visuals and stuff go.
You're playing PSVR 2 version. I don't know if you
So I'm
said
playing
that.
the PSVR 2
Yeah.
version. But I mean, once again, and it sucks to, I hate, I say every episode, but hopping from the Quest to the PSVR 2, man, that's you still see that screen door. You still see that,
On the
you
PSVR
can
2.
see it, man. And I know it's not the same as PSVR 1. I'm not saying it's like that bad by any stretch. I had a buddy over too who I put into Gran Turismo, because he's been dying. He's a big PC VR guy, and he hasn't seen much in PSVR 2, and he was like, oh man, like Gran Turismo was amazing. He says, but I can see the screen door. I'm like, I right, like and it's a bit frustrating to see everything being blurry now, because obviously playing stuff with on the Quest 3, and not, I understand they're not the same version of the game as far as like graphics go, but every time you do a side by side comparison, the one takeaway with the Quest version, Arizona Sunshine, Max Mustard, like anything, it looks clear, and it looks very clear. Like there's no, you just see the game. You don't see in those dark areas. All of a sudden, you start seeing like, you know, the lines between pixels, and it's so small. It's not like PSVR 1, but it's noticeable. I'm just saying it is noticeable. It's not ruining the fun by any stretch, but definitely when I initially jumped from the Quest to the PSVR 2, I was like, oh right, this is a thing. But then you get over it. Like once you're in the middle of combat, and like I said, it's a beautiful game, you do get used to it and move past it.
I
But
noticed it immediately in Metro, and I just don't really care that much. I mean, like I notice it in. I actually Gran Turismo is one of the games I notice it the least in, and because unless you're at nighttime, most of it's like just bright and movement uh and it's just and there's lots of lighting effects going on, and it just does not phase me at all in Gran Turismo, to be honest with you. But I noticed it in the Resident Evil games for sure. I just think I feel like you want to call it Mura.
Mira,
Um,
melee.
Mile. If you want to call it Mura, you want to call it screen door effect. I just call it screen door effect because ultimately, um, that's what it looks like. And even though it is, understand that it's a slightly different thing that we're seeing because it's not due to a low resolution screen. And regardless, um, I feel like it's one of those things where it bugs some people more. Some people are much more notice.
Oh, for sure.
Like frame rate really bugs me. Like for example, like the reprojection thing, I'm really sensitive to that. You don't notice it as much as I do. You're way less
No, and I
sensitive
was
to it.
even messing with it on the PSVR. I had to, like, I was, and it honestly, it didn't look that bad to me in Metro at all. Like, it was. I'll say it's
and
hard
it
to see, but
and
it
it
didn't.
really bothered me. And that's the thing. Like it's like I mean, it's not the worst. Um, I would say it's on par with the Resident Evil games, where I would just get used to it. Although I started to move my head a little bit more in those games to kind of mitigate it a little bit. Um, I mean, you could just get on a stool and spin, and it's just not an issue.
Unless I had, well, yeah. The problem with PSVR is, you only have so much
Yeah,
cable.
and I've done that before. I've just about like ripped the end off my cord because I like got out of the headset and it was like, um, but yeah, it's just like I said, so it's like reprojection. Sometimes it doesn't bother people. Frame rates, frame hiccups, things like that. Resolution. Some people just aren't as nearly sensitive to the resolution drops on certain games or headsets. And then again, like I said with the screen door thing, it just kind of depends what bugs you, and you just get used to it. If we only had a PSVR, excuse me, if we only had a PSVR 2, that's all you played, and you just like these other games, like some of these games just didn't exist, or these versions of games didn't exist, I feel like the reprojection would bug me less.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is that I can jump to the PC version of Metro, and that's what I'd rather play. And then it just becomes this thing of like, what do you prefer? Like, where are your trigger points? Like, is you get reprojection and a slightly lower resolution image than you could get on PC. Like, it's significantly sharper on PC if you can run it at a higher resolution scaling, and it does look really nice. And you don't have to turn anti-aliasing on, so everything's super sharp. But you don't get the haptics, at least until hopefully, because Arizona Sunshine had it, they add B haptic support. Yay!
That'd be nice.
But anyway, I feel like ultimately this conversation kind of goes nowhere because it just comes down to what are your things? Because I know a lot of people, it's like haptics or die on the PSVR 2, and I don't actually disagree with that. I'm a really big fan of the DualSense controllers. But I gotta say, I'm gonna take no haptics and get no reprojection. That's where I lean, because the reprojection bothers me.
I get it, and like, not to we said sometimes, but not every game even uses haptics. This one does, obviously, but
Arizona Sunshine or the Vertigo devs do a really nice job with haptics. They just do, and the B haptic support's great on the air. I was playing it on Arizona Remake. I was like, this is awesome. I loved it. It was really, it made it really fun. And I love to see that support from these developers. But speaking of support, what the fuck? Like, why do we not have dynamic foveated rendering on the PSVR 2 version of Metro? I thought we were getting a native 90 option. It's just, maybe it's gonna be patched in. I get it. Like on some degree, we got to celebrate the fact that these guys released 3 versions of the game and they're all super solid. They're almost all glitch free. They all launched day one, solid with a few exceptions. That's pretty awesome. A lot of developers can't do that, and like they're not a huge developer. Like this is awesome for them to be able to deliver that quality across the board. And I don't even think they delayed the game. Woo, good on them. But it's disappointing because they've just never done dynamic foveated rendering on any of their games, and it's unfortunate.
It was such a huge feature. I remember we were so pumped for that feature when they announced it for PSVR 2 and what it could do, and so few games utilize it that
or they bring it in after. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to do more research because I thought for sure they were going to bring that in. So I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a day one patch. I mean, I guess technically this game doesn't come out till tomorrow.
I didn't get anything about day one patch in my
I haven't heard
stuff.
I haven't heard anything. Yeah. But while we've been jumping back and forth about PSVR 2 and shitting on the Mura and reprojection, that brings us to today's conversation. And this is what was brought up by a few people in our request for topic. And this was the Meta Creator Program, and kind of what people's feelings are around this program. I feel like because we got a couple comments on it. For those of you who don't know, the partner program, it used to be the partner program. Now it's the creator program. Started out as 25 people, and then it got up to 50 people, and now it's jumping up to 100 people. And with that jump up to 100 people, I'm going to guess it's being felt a lot more now, in the fact that Ryan and I were talking about this earlier. It's brought in a a much bigger swath of content creators in various stages of their careers. It goes every, it's all the way up to like guys like a Wolf in VR and Beardo that are like a couple 100,000 subs or more. And then you've got guys that are, I mean, I haven't really looked at it, but I'm going to guess they're like 1,000 maybe.
Oh yeah, there's some really small channels on there for sure.
And just again, like this whole chat's going to be like, we're going full disclosure, guys, as much as we can without feeling like we're going to be going against any like agreements that we've signed. And
yeah, like so the user, I mean, I want a lot. This is what he came with this idea, and he said his idea for the topic was the general bad effect the meta content creators program has had on the VR industry as a whole. And first of all, I don't like. I mean, is there an effect? Yes. Is it a general bad effect? Well, this is what kind of started this whole conversation, because I don't think there's a generally bad effect here that's just ruining the VR industry the way he's wording it. But that's how he put it out there. He basically, I'm going to read this whole thing right now, just kind of set the stage here. So the general bad effect the Meta Content Creators Program has on the VR industry as a whole, in my opinion, it has created divisions in the VR industry, untrustworthy reviews that are heavily sponsored, and asking you to use their content creator affiliate codes on games they are reviewing. Some content creators go out of the way to try and crap on meta competitors so they can get into the meta's good books and get the free rewards. Some seem to fear that if they give a bad review to meta games, they'll be kicked from the program and lose all the privileges. And almost all that is incorrect and wrong, which is why we're talking about it.
It is.
Well, no, I shouldn't say it. I said, I mean, yeah, there's levels to this thing for sure, but generally speaking, I mean, as members of the creator program, I think it's kind of important for me to put it out there and kind of, let people know what this is about. To me, this is no different than being accused of being a shill for taking game codes. Don't trust that guy's review. He got the game for free.
Yep.
Well, man, you know how much work it took for me to start getting free games? It was a lot of work. I spent a lot of money, and now I'm so happy. I'm so grateful to be in a position we are where we don't have to pay for everything. I still do pay for the occasional game. Don't get me wrong. But it's awesome to be here. But how we got here is by, both of me and you, we got here by putting out honest reviews and honest content and stuff we care about. This is just a hobby for both of us. This is not our job. This is not our livelihood. And I think, I don't say that doesn't matter for this conversation, but I think it does. We're not relying on any kind of meta money or YouTube money to pay the next bill. This is just fun for us. And the whole point is to help you guys with your decisions. So, I mean, do we have affiliate links? Of course we do. Do you have to click them? Of course you don't. Like, it's there if you want it. You guys get credit. We get credit. If you don't want it, then no one gets anything and everything stays the same. It's irrelevant if you want it to be.
Now, the reason I was like, when you said he's wrong about everything, I would say,
there's potential. There is potential for trouble.
I would say that he's right about everything, but it's not a one size fits all kind of commentary. That's what I would say. And this is where I felt like the conversation would be interesting to kind of like, kind of blow the doors open a little bit as far as, so you guys know everything that's actually happening, like what we get, what we don't get. And ultimately, I think that his concerns are valid towards like any channel that you're going to watch. And I feel like those concerns were as valid as they were with a lot, like any given channel before the partner program, before they got in the partner program, or in the partner program. Because I feel like that individual person, like, I guess what I'm saying is that it's easier to speak from our standpoint. Both Ryan and I have been doing this since 2016, basically, and we both kind of we're just gonna call it like it is. There's a reason why we joined channels, because we were both kind of like, we're gonna call shit on the VR gaming industry in their games because we want better games, and we want the information about these games that we're not getting from other channels. Like we don't want sunshine, and we want more details. And I feel like that never changed for us. Now, were there times when, especially starting out, and especially when we were getting Sony codes, to be honest with you, Sony was the ones that scared me the most, because once I finally got into the Sony door, I was like, I cannot piss them off, because it's so hard for me to compete, especially when we were PSVR only, basically, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like, you can't, you don't dare. And like, again, these are little channel concerns, and not that those go away when you're a bigger channel, but you start to care less. The more people you have watching you, the less you also then care about whether if a review slips 2 days because you had to buy the copy. It's not as detrimental, because like when you're starting out, the only way you get noticed sometimes is just being either first or in that first pile. And so I guess the reason I started out the conversation with the fact that this 100 people now, with that new 50 being added, has brought in a lot of young channels that are, probably really afraid of losing what they've been given. And I'm not saying that they're lying because of that, but I'm just saying that they are not seasoned content creators yet, and they still have to find their legs. I feel like my experience with the creator program has been very positive. They've gone above and beyond trying to communicate to us that there are no strings attached to review codes at all. One of the nice things about getting codes through the program is that we don't have to interact as much with developers. If anything, that actually gives us a bit of a buffer, because we're not burning a bridge with a PR company or an individual developer. There's kind of that, it comes through Meta. Now, but I can absolutely understand where a young developer, like, I remember what it was like, and
a young creator, you mean?
Sorry, yes. And I even recently, there's been a couple of creators that I have kind of like helped along the way, because I was like, well, let me see if I can like steer you away from some of the mistakes I made. And so going along with their journeys, I remember when they got their first game code, they felt obligated to give it a good review. They didn't want to, like, they felt like, especially if it was a small dev and there was a relationship there, they like felt bad dumping on the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess,
I get
like,
it. I mean,
right?
I
get that.
We've been there, man. I've been there. I mean, it still happens, for God's sakes. I mean, I have to look back and see what my recent crappy reviews are, but
there's dumping on a game, and this is something that I think that you and I both learned throughout the years, is that if you give constructive criticism in a review, and it's like, and you're not just hating on a game, you're actually like being specific, which is something that we like to, like, we tried to back up our reviews and our comments with specifics. If you are very specific in your criticisms of a game, I've been surprised. I still get surprised sometimes when I get an email or a comment from a developer saying, like, the team was really grateful for your review. They've taken notes and we're trying to fix all those things. Like, I feel like if it's a good critical review, people care. Like, they use it. It's not taken as a slight. Now, I mean, both of us have definitely had stories of people who like became total Karens over negative reviews. I've had some people like, change what you said. That was incorrect. And
oh yeah, I mean, I can totally. I mean, it was. I remember Discronia. I've told the story before, but I mean, I published the review, and the guy hit me up, and he was like, yeah, you should probably beat the game before you publish the review." I was like, "Dude, I beat the game." I know it's like, I proceeded to explain my ending and everything else. He's, well, everyone else gave it a higher score. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I can tell. I like watch my review. I listed every reason why I didn't enjoy that game. After that, Radio Sound. They never talked to me again. I was even just asking about just wasn't asking for game codes. I was just asking about the game. Nothing. And I'll call them out because I don't care. It's not like I'm like, oh no, there goes the my dearest was the developer there, I think. Yeah, they just didn't like my review. They called me out on it. I pushed back, and that bridge got burned. Okay, I mean, I'm not, I'm here to make. Am I here to make friends? I don't want to make enemies. That's for damn sure. But at the same time, we've had so much praise for our reviews for being honest, and that won't ever change on this channel, regardless of who we're affiliated with. Because the second we do that, it better be for a big payday, because this channel's done. Like we've now lost the plot. So that being said, I'll take a huge payday. $1 million, I will sell out in 2 seconds. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So until then,
price. All those Vertigo bucks you've been getting, right?
Yeah. I should have said 2 million.
Well, so fun fact: we were not in the program when it was the partner program. That was when it first launched, and I never liked that title.
Oh, that was the Oculus partner program. That's right, before Meta even.
Was it? I think it was right
Yeah,
in
because
that.
everyone got the Oculus stuff, and then they changed to Meta
Yeah,
like
yeah, it was
2 months
right
later or
around
something.
that time period, right?
Yeah, I remember that now.
I never liked the title. I'm glad they got rid of it because, and I feel like that is a much more honest representation. Is the fact that like, and you made me think of it when you said affiliate. We're not affiliated with Meta. I think
No.
that's fair. But that's the difference. Like a partner program makes you feel like you're in their pocket, right? It's a creator program. This is where I said like full disclosure. So like when we were asked to be a part of the program, it was kind of like, so here's what we can do for you. And it's like, and it very much was, the program was very much like we want to lift up content creators. And so that was like, of course, it was like you're getting access to codes, maybe some hardware, maybe some toys like peripherals, like, you know, things like that. If deals come along, like glasses, like lens attachments, things like that. But it was like, but more for, especially for the young channels who like are just cutting their teeth. There was a lot of like, there were like roundtable discussions where people could share their content and get tips from people. They had like they'd have like little clinics where people could learn how to do thumbnails better and how to do like SOE and
SEO.
SEO. Thank you. As soon as I said that, I'm like, SEO, like search engine optimization, right? And just and like learning like how to tag videos and how to work the YouTube algorithms and stuff. They've done a lot of clinics and stuff like that. That is more the program as far as like they're just trying to, and I think it's brilliant that Meta is like, we're going to spend the money to try to improve the overall content and communication. And I mean, is it a win-win? Absolutely. But like, I'll tell you guys, like literally at the end of a month, we got a sheet and it's like, here's the codes. Here's the games that are coming out this month, as far as we know. Basically tell us what codes you're interested in, and if we can get them, like most of these are I think they've secured these with the developers of the publishers. So it's like, you know, there's no guarantee when you're going to get them, except that it's probably going to be before launch or on launch. And it's like, just basically tell us what you're interested in, and you will get access as soon as we can get it to you.
And then provide coverage. And it's provide coverage, not provide positive reviews. It's provide coverage.
All they ask, and they don't even require that. They will say on there, are you planning to do coverage? And you can say yes, no, maybe. And it doesn't, for the most part, my understanding, it doesn't change whether you get these codes. And at the end of the month, you get another sheet that says, what games are you interested in? And like, as far as I can tell, there's not really any criticism, or there's no penalties to if you crapped on a game, because you're just not singled out like that. And the program is completely designed around lifting up content creators, and I don't really think anyone's ever been fired from the program either, because there's a lot of assistance, and they definitely, like, the whole program is designed to lift up content creators. But I guess the biggest thing I'm trying to communicate is that there's no obligations to blow smoke up their butt. I would say the closest that it ever got to that would be when the bHaptic vests that we got. We were asked, this, like, bHaptic is like wants to like help out the partner program, basically. Are you interested in this? If you are, here's the requirements. You need to produce these many videos. You need to produce videos. And it was like content videos, and it was kind of like, don't shit on it. I mean, that was kind of, I mean, it didn't really, I guess it was never really super spelled out, but it was kind of like, you're being given a vest to highlight it and at least show it off. But this is not the time to rip it apart. But here's the key takeaway, guys. I think this is important. It was kind of like, for the 2 pieces of content that you have, or 1 piece, I guess it was, per vest, that you have committed to, don't shit on the vest. After that, have at it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was nothing tying you to that. After that, there was no strings attached. And if you wanted to put out a full review, which I might still do, and you know, and rip it apart, that's fine. And much of the program has been like, if there's been any extra incentives like that, it's been mostly kind of like that. And again, like I said, like I feel like you've got this like complete gambit of content creators from super experienced and been in it a long time, don't need the program, to young guys who are like really excited. And like maybe like some of them probably have had no real interactions on a professional level in their life with a developer, a publisher, a PR. Um, that can be pretty scary, especially if you're wading into water like where you're talking to professionals, and so you're going to get reactions all over the place.
Mhm.
And so I guess maybe I'm rambling a little bit, but when when we get a comment that's kind of like, I don't trust people's commentary on games now if they're if they're in the program, it's kind of like, well, I feel like if that channel was honest, if their backbone was like being super honest and critical in games, it's probably not going to change. Especially if they've been doing
Yeah.
it for a while. It doesn't change how we did things. For us, it was literally just like less legwork to get access to games.
That was the biggest conversation we had before we even talked to the program, because they'd obviously put the offer out there, like we were interested in having you in the program. And we talked about, like, it was our initial conversation with them was all about basically how, like, I shouldn't even say we said it so much as he already said, like, we don't want to change our content. We don't want to, like, all we want to do is basically just, it's basically not being even be on Meta's side, but being in the position we're in now in regards to getting access to these codes and getting early access to these things allows us to provide you with more content. And that was the sole reason why we chose to go with the program, because it gave us access to things that we just didn't have access to before. And that was it. It was no, getting early access to like Assassin's Creed or Asgard's Wrath or anything that, a lot of the creators get beforehand. I shouldn't say a lot of, but some get beforehand. That really appealed to us because we want to be able to provide you with the most comprehensive coverage we can. So every day we can get extra with a game is a valuable, that's value to us. And that's what Meta provided for us. In many cases, not all cases. Some cases it doesn't work out well. It's not a perfect program by any stretch, but it's a great program. It's actually, I'm surprised at um, how positive of a program it is for creators. And it's to sit there and say, like, now anyone in part of this program is like potentially, like just gonna, suck Meta's butt. Sure, maybe, possibly, but I think you pick up on that pretty quick. If a channel starts being dishonest. And honestly, I think it's amazing that Meta is doing this for VR when no one else is. And we talk about Sony all the time and how they just don't appear to support the headset, and all the lack of communication and everything from them that just screams they don't care about this, this product over and over and over again. Um Whereas this program, this career they're investing in people just to make content, and it's about their stuff, obviously, but they're not stopping us from making PSVR content or this podcast or anything like that. Um, and it's impressive, and it's unfortunate that no one else is kind of picking up what they're doing and kind of copying it. Like, I
Yeah.
would love to see a PlayStation VR creator program. That'd be amazing. It would bring attention to VR. It would attract people, and it would honestly, man, getting codes for PlayStation VR right now sucks. Um, it's just you really, we said, even we get the release schedules. We know what, so we get a list of what's coming out that month, even if it's not official yet. We get list. It's all, we can't say anything, obviously.
When
But we
games
know
when
we can
games are delayed,
yeah,
we often get a heads up. um, but
we can plan our month. We can plan our month when it comes to meta coverage, and
now,
it's great.
yeah, and it like look, I was gonna say, does it have an effect the on the VR space? This program, I would say 100% it
Oh
does,
yeah, for sure.
and that's less of a meta problem and those in the program, and it's I feel like what Ryan was saying, it shines more of a light on the lack of other companies getting in on that, like Sony being the big one. I mean, it's like, yeah, Meta. Yes, Meta has bought up a lot of studios, and yes, I feel like there's some harsh feelings around the fact that they have bought some studios and then have seemed to have doing nothing with them. Though I guess we really don't know and we don't know either what's going on behind
we're
closed
not privy
doors.
to like all that behind. Like, this is very like content creation. It's not like we get like all the insider deals and what's going
Don't
down. Like,
think
nothing like
people
that.
understand that this is so much more a creator program than it is a like meta program. Like it does it benefit meta? Absolutely. Like they're kind of like they're putting their money where their mouth is in creating a space, and they're really helping to promote their product, but they're also doing it by lifting up the smallest channels and the bigger channels even higher if possible. And so yeah, and some of these bigger channels, they get treated a little bit differently sometimes. Might get brought to a Meta Connect and stuff. But again, I really don't, I've never gotten the feeling like it's gotten into any like kind of shill territory. It's just like I said, it's very, very creator focused.
Yeah, they're
And
providing opportunities,
they
and it's
don't give
opportunities that
us
some people don't get. I mean, like, so I could have went to the last MetaConnect thing. They'd offered us money to go. They're gonna, and reimburse us a certain amount of money, and I could have made it work probably for me. It would have been like, scraping by. It just time wise didn't make sense. But that was, I mean, that it was just, yeah, come over to MetaConnect and provide some like, they didn't provide, I don't need to provide coverage, but I mean, I'm sure that's part of the deal. But just come down here, like, and just be a part of this, and we'll
my
just reimburse
understanding
you a
was
certain,
there
like,
was
that's awesome.
no requirements other than we just want to bring
Yeah.
the content, like the creator program together if possible, just to like meet and greet. Like it's a good place to meet and greet. And I think for the people who went, that's exactly what it was. But my point of it being like very creator focused in the fact that like we don't get the goods. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. We knew nothing about the Quest 3S officially than any of you guys did. We could tell that there was things that they were dancing around that they didn't want to talk about, but there was like oh, something might be announced at MetaConnect, but like we are not privy to that early information. Like those are advantages that are just, we're not trusted with that. We're still just YouTubers. And so I think that's also important for people to understand that, like, like this idea of, oh, they're going to lose their privileges. Really though? Like, it's like, that's not the program. And I
Mhm.
think that's important for people to just like understand here again, that it's not something that's been given and taketh away. Like there just aren't the strings attached. And that's why I said it's very important to also note that like when you get games to review, they're not babysitting people. They're not following up on them. They're not.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
review guidelines or anything along those lines, or you have to stay within this, unless there's something like from the developer, I guess.
yeah, I was gonna
They
say, but
repeat
it's
that.
no different than any time we would ever
Yeah.
get a code from any other developer, publisher, or PR company. Um, in fact, I would say it's more organized, because something you and I has fought for years is you'd get a code and you'd be like, okay, thanks for the code. What's the embargo? And
Yeah.
what's the time zone? And do you have a review guide? Do you have any assets? Like, do you have like do you have a logo? Like, is there like, do you have anything? And like the partner program has packaged almost all of that, where it was like, here's your code, and it's like, and there's the link, and that link has like any review guide information as far as like release date, pricing, features that you might need to know about, or glitches that you might need to know about, and then it would be like, and here's a press kit,
Mhm.
and it links to like, but again, that links to like whatever the developers provided. And so it's just made things easier. Now, I mean, it is gonna have an effect, and it's gonna have a
Oh, for
snowball
sure it will.
effect
I mean,
on the
it's
industry. And I mean, Metro is a perfect example, right? I really think that Metro is probably like the best example right now. We had codes for Metro weeks ago, weeks and weeks ago. Some people had access to like a Meta Connect, or it was a Gamescom build going back even further than that, right?
yeah.
And they were even allowed to share some content about around that like a month ago and stuff. Like, but we had a final build, or mostly final build access like 3 weeks ago, probably. And that was meta access. But when it came to the PC and the PSVR 2 release, I mean, Ryan was putting in some legwork, talking to the developer or talking to the PR company or both, I think. And it was just like, when can we get a code? When can we get a code? When can we get a code? Because I didn't want to just do the meta copy. Like, I mean, it's like, yeah, like, guys, I didn't want to play the Meta Quest version. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was really pumped.
You're such a quality snob.
Yeah, I was a really big Metro guy. It was like one of my games that I was most excited for. And I said to Ryan, I'm like, I don't want to play the meta version. I don't even want to play the version on my Quest. I don't want to play it. And so we just kept waiting. And so, yeah, it was like a sleepless night trying to get a review done. And that is like the reality of it, though. Like,
I think that's to your point here in regards to how it's going to how it's going to affect like virtual reality coverage, because yeah, of course, these channels and these smaller channels and even us, I mean, we're definitely reviewing more meta stuff than we have before, and it's not because of the program. It's also because Meta's also putting out more content than anybody else. I mean, PSVR gets one game a week, maybe two. Meta's getting like 20 or something like this month. It's a crazy number. Like Meta is just they're flooding the market with games and thus coverage. I mean, it's the headset that's selling. It's where VR it's heading. I as much as I love my PSVR for all the things it does.
Yeah.
I'm starting to dislike it for what it doesn't do, man. Like the wire's starting to bug me, the resolution's starting to bug me, and this isn't a problem that's gonna get better as tech gets older. This is, when the Quest 4 comes out and PSVR 2 is still the Sony headset, hopefully that's still the case at the very least. Like, it's gonna look rough. But back to the point though is, yeah, so if these younger channels are getting access to these games, and it's very easy to be overwhelmed, I guess is the right word, but it's very easy to stick within the program and do that coverage because you get those games early and those you get access to. And most of those games, honestly, outside of the few big ones like Metro or I can't even think of any more recent than that, Arizona Sunshine, like the games from across Quest and PSVR 2 and PCVR are typically not that much different, where covering the Quest version is probably fine. I mean, you're missing out on haptics maybe on the PSVR 2 side, or maybe some extra little bits, but outside of these bigger releases, these brand name releases, you're kind of getting the same game. So why not do it on the Quest? You get access to it earlier, and it's an easier system overall. So that's definitely what's going to skew, because let's say Vendetta Forever, I reviewed it on the Quest, and someone's asked about the haptics. I was like, I don't know, like. And nor is it a game I want to play on PSVR 2, because you have to turn and react so fast. That's the kind of game that you would get caught up in your cable, like easy, and not even be aware of it, because you have to like action every time you teleport. It just you transport like around you. You have to turn as fast as you can. It's all about memorizing. And so having that wireless freedom, I was like, this is the way to play this version of the game. And I'm not saying the wire gets in the way of every game, but the game itself on PSVR 2 didn't look any different either. So that's where I think you're going to see that shift is in coverage, is when these guys just like I said, we get access to these games sometimes way before any other version. And that's where the coverage is going to be. If I spend that much time with a game before release, it's hard to, like, if I, like I said, like you didn't want to play the Quest version. We had access to that version weeks before we had PC.
And I had to hustle hard. Like, I mean, I had to sit there and pretty much play the game in one sitting and then stay up till midnight to review the title to try to get that out because of access that we got later. Now, I know some people got the PSVR version a few days earlier, but it's still like, that's the reality of trying to get some of these codes. Some, it's not all, but like on a big game like that, it's gonna start to cause a bit more of a shift. I mean, we all complain about the fact that we wish Sony looked like they were throwing more support behind the PSVR 2. I'm sorry, but there's no way you can't. There's just no way. You can only get so much mental gymnastics in to try to like justify the fact that Sony's still like really given their biggest support to it. They're not. But unfortunately, when you pair up, say, like the lack of, say, enthusiasm or visible enthusiasm from Sony as far as like games coming out, and then you pair that up with Meta really hustling behind the scenes to make sure that like anyone who wants to cover their stuff within, like within reason, is getting supported as much as possible.
Hmm.
It is going to shift things. And I just like to bring it full circle. Just, I really do think at the end of the day, it still comes down to, you have to look at that channel, you have to watch their content, and then just realize, like, are these guys, are they ones that would bend the knee to a developer, or to Meta as a whole? I'm gonna guess that pretty well, like, who does that and who doesn't do that. And I'm not saying that all your young upstart channels are doing that either, because heck, any one of them could have the same mentality that we had, where it was like, no, like, if I start a channel and I build it on like shilling and lying and sugarcoating, you're not going to get far. I mean,
Yeah.
there are there are channels, and this is the other thing I think that's important to note, is that when it comes to VR content creation, I feel like there's two big groups. There's like those groups that make VR entertainment, and then there, like, say, like a Wolf in VR, for example, and then there are people who do like reviews, like content reviews and
Coverage. Yeah, yeah.
coverage, right? Like, well, it's both coverage, right? That's what I'm getting at. It's like
Yeah.
one's being critical, and one is their intention is to entertain and have fun with the game, and they're not going to get bogged down with the critical aspects of it. And the more jank, probably the better time they're going to have, because they'll just be goofy with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
this guy's saying that, like, some people are acting like they're just having such a good time. We have talked about that. We had Gamertag on here probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and that was the whole point of the episode: toxic positivity. Because that was a problem back then, and that was before this program existed. And that was that there are YouTubers out there, I have a handful of them, that drive me nuts. And every game is amazing. Oh my god! And
You
everything's
can
so
tell by
scary, and it's
by
so
the
exciting.
thumbnail. The thumbnail.
Thumbnail, if they're or "Ah," or like, it's like, yeah, I I really do feel like you can pretty much judge the approach to that channel based on their thumbnail.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I mean, and that's not even just shit on the channel like that, like that. Like, I mean, like, when we had Steve Knows on, same deal, where he said he stopped doing reviews because he wanted to keep his channel, he wanted to skew his channel more positive, and he just thought he felt reviews just brought out negativity in the comments and chat because it just put out like reasons for division, so he just got away from those. And I'm not saying he's shilling towards anybody for that matter. He just, that's where his channel went. He just wanted to, avoid any kind of controversy. Whereas, if you find our reviews for anything, to just usually one guy in there that's just trashing the game or the review, or this is the Metro thing. There's a few comments on the Metro about just the quality of the game and people disagreeing with Chris's comments, and that happens with every single review. Every time we put a review out there, it almost guaranteed someone's like, no,
Well,
that's wrong.
but that's fun. Like, and for the most part,
That's the whole point.
like, I am being critical and having an opinion. Um, I want to hear people's opinions. Like, I actually
100%.
I actually want their comments, because I like answering them and I like talking VR. I I appreciate it when I try to be constructive. I appreciate it when people are constructive. And so, for example, like the individual that we brought up in this chat, like, I liked that comment. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's why that and another comment there were why we brought this up as a topic, because it was like, yeah, you good. These are good points. These are I can see why these are problems that do and probably could exist. I just feel like there's more nuance to that conversation. I guess that's ultimately what it comes down to. And I hope that we have kind of been able to shed a little bit more light on what the program is and isn't. Um, I mean, I guess I hope that it'll help you judge people moving forward a little bit. I mean, again, like the affiliate links and all that stuff.
Look, for us, for us, it's there. It's a bonus, man. It's not something we're not embedding it in our videos. I mean, I guess I do it on this pod at the end or something like that. But as far as our reviews of that, it's in the links and it's in the comments. But that's as far as it's gonna go. We're not trying to, like I said, I'm not. It's there if you want it. If you don't want it, it's fine. Like, it's to me, if someone uses the link, you get a deal, we get a deal, everybody wins, and it's that simple. It's not like there's like, I don't know what the crime is. Like we're reviewing more Quest stuff now because we're affiliated. Like, look, we've sold one Quest through our affiliate link in that time, one,
Woo!
right?
Nothing
And
compared
it's
to
not
that Vertigo money you're getting.
right. And whoever did that, thank you, by the way, because I mean that was a shock actually. But yeah, it's not something we depend. It's just cool. It's nice, and it seems we said before, like it all gets fed back into the channel. I mean, we spend a lot of time on this stuff. Like like Chris, how much hours did you spend playing Metro and reviewing Metro?
Probably 20 hours all in, like between.
And how much money did you get paid from this channel?
Yeah, yeah.
This is my point. Like we're not a massive channel. Our views, if we're lucky, if our reviews hit over 10,000. Those are really good reviews. Um, so we skew smaller. So yeah, anything that can help us out, sure. But we're not forcing it on your throats. Not like buy this game, buy this. Watch our reviews. If you disagree with what you said, if you think we're shilling, then leave us a comment and let us know where you think we went wrong. Pretty good chance we can defend ourselves. Because we're not trying to bullshit. And if we can defend ourselves, then you win, I guess. And we'll probably pin that comment and be like, look, we screwed up. This guy's right. I've done that on one or two reviews where I got something wrong, where I was like, shit, my bad. Like, you get pinned. Like, I'm not trying to hide the fact that we're not perfect beings either. But yeah, like I said, as far as the affiliate stuff goes, it's something that we'll promote on the reviews. Every review we do on this channel for Meta, we'll have an affiliate link, almost guaranteed. Why? Because it's an option we have. You get a discount, we get something, a kickback. Then don't go to the Meta store and buy it yourself. Like I'm not losing sleep over this. It's
They
just,
don't make us do it. In
What's
fact,
that?
they don't make us do it. In fact, I
No.
don't think they've. I mean, we didn't do it for the longest time. I mean, we really are really bad at it, and no one ever told us.
We're actually pretty bad at the creator program. Something we didn't mention is we're actually pretty bad. The creator program really does promote. Something we didn't mention. It does promote a
Yeah.
community. Like it does promote engagement. Like so many of these creators are talking together and meeting each other for the first time and engaging with each other. It is like its whole little community, and it is full of positivity. And me and Chris are both just like these little shadow people in the corner that just occasionally dip our heads and to be like, "Hey, I have a problem," and then
We also have each other, and we also are lucky enough to have those of you who watch the channel and participate in it as well. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Some of these channels, especially the younger, smaller ones, they don't have a community. Not really. Not that they can like talk with a lot. They definitely don't have a partner. Like you and I can like I get it. Like I mean, I started this channel to talk VR, and so being able to combine channels with you was awesome because now we get to just talk VR all the time. I get it, but yeah, we're pretty lone wolves when it comes to that. I mean, one thing that we didn't mention that the program does do is like there are incentives built into the program. And I'll clarify, they are not incentives to say anything at all. It's more like they call them quests, I think, and they're kind of like put out these many videos this month, or it'd be like attached like this game, put out a video for this game, and it's like if you do, then you'll get like a little like a reward like meta gold or some shit like that. And then there's and then creators can buy stuff in like a creator store where it's like, you can buy a new camera or a green screen or whatever. And but all that incentive is basically just to promote activity and content.
yeah. It's not saying make a positive video about
you
this
could
game.
literally make a video about a game that was like, do not play this game.
Yeah, I mean that was the burst. I mean, I reviewed the burst. I was
Yeah.
looking through it. I gave it a 5.5, and I said like there's potential here, but I gave it a 5 to 10. I was like, stay away. I think by the end of my review, I was like, stay away.
Here's the funny thing: in order to get that quest gold, for lack of a better word, because I don't know, they don't read the program. They change things. We're supposed to tag these videos so that they can find them and give us credit for doing content. We don't even do that. I mean, we're literally horrible at the program.
They're gonna kick us out after this podcast now. Wait a second, they are horrible. Done.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the worst thing that you could do in the program is just not do anything in the program. Like, if there was any way that someone could get booted from the program, it would be by not participating. And
yeah,
that's it. Like, I mean, if you just, I mean, look, who knows? If you just made it your mission to just shit all over everything,
Every time,
like,
yeah.
Quest 3S, total
Ooh,
dumpster fire. Batman VR, like,
yeah.
riddle me this. Garbage. Like, if just like nothing was, it just nothing but negativity. And you were just in every game code they gave you, you were just like trying to just shit on something. Maybe you'd get a talking to, but they'd be like,
I think I think they probably talked to you for a little bit before they're like, dude, like,
"Do you
come
want to
on.
be in this?
Yeah,
Like,
and
you're not
it,
having a
it would,
good time."
yeah, and that'd be it too. It wouldn't be like, get out of here. It'd be like, why did you join us in the first place? It's like, this is gonna bait and switch gaslighting. What the hell's going on?
Yeah,
But no, I
and
think
that
we've kind of.
I feel like that's full disclosure, man. Like, I don't.
I think so. I think I've covered just about everything. I hope so. Like I said, it offers us perks. We do get some kickbacks. There is money involved, but it's not numbers. It's mostly based around like just making more content. Ideally, I would love to make even more content for you guys and get more from the program, but I just can't. But once again, it's reviewing more. I would love to review every game every week and be up to date on. I just can't. But if
Well,
I
you know what?
could, like, I would get more from the program.
It's
But
also hard. It's also hard. Like, I mean, I feel like going to the PlayStation side of things, because I feel like people might feel like since we were two PSVR channels that we've skewed really hard to Quest, and I feel like a lot of people probably just understand the reality of where the industry's at right now. But
you
just to
hope
put,
so. But I mean,
yeah,
we still get comments.
but to put more of a fine point on it. I mean, here's the reality of it. It's like we all know that a lot of these games go to Quest first. Now, even before PC, it used to be PC first, and then it would filter down, and maybe it went to Quest next because they could make money there, and then maybe it was PSVR 1, 2, depending on what year you want to talk about. I mean, now in a lot of cases it's Quest because we're talking like there's 20 million plus Quest 2s. Who knows where the Quest 3 is at? I mean, it just dwarfs every other headset put in the same pile, and that's the reality of it. So, if you're a developer, I mean, Toast Interactive is a perfect example. They made Max Mustard, guys. If you've been following the news, they laid off a bunch of like 10 staff, which is like a good chunk of their staff. These guys had made like my understanding is one game before that was Richie's Plank, and they
Yep.
managed to survive for years on that. I think as a very small studio. I think they leveled up their studio quite a bit to make a bigger game, a platforming game. It launched on Quest. It was on Quest for like what 6 months before anything else,
Something like that.
and it didn't sell well. They were very clear about that, and hence why it got that $2 coupon where they just basically tried to get it to everybody, and it jumped onto the top 10. I'm gonna guess that was a Hail Mary. I don't think they made any money on that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's
then
just to
they
kind of bring it to the attention, and hopefully it
right,
stays
and then
there.
they brought the PSVR 2 version out, and they said it sold better, and that's with 200,000 headsets approximately versus
2
20,
million.
sorry, 2 million versus 20 million, and they said that sorry, yeah, and the PSVR 2 they said sold better. Now, I've said before, I think that's because console gamers we're raised on platformers. That makes we also got Astrobot like years ago, and we know how well platformers play in VR. So I feel like there's a couple of reasons for that. But bottom line is, it hit Quest way ahead of time, and a lot of games are doing that. And then often they'll hit PC, and then they hit PSVR 2 as the last place. And so, like, what made me think of it, Ryan, was when you were saying like we only have so much time, and it's kind of like if we've already reviewed, for example, Max Mustard on the Quest, and at that point there was no mention of it going to any other headset really. Maybe some rumblings about PSVR 2, but at that point I think it was pretty much it was a Quest game first.
I think
And
we knew it was PSVR 2, but it was just a
no
later
release
date.
date anytime soon, right? Like if
Yeah.
it was, as I said, maybe rumblings, but it was like who knows when. And it was like, all right, so we're gonna review it. And it's like, okay, well, then it comes out again. And I mean, you did actually in that regard re-review it. We can't do that with every game.
No,
And
it's tough.
and then that's the problem. It's like, like Into the Radius hits PSVR 2. I loved Into the Radius. But you reviewed it on Quest, and I was busy doing something, and it just couldn't cover it again.
Mhm.
And that's the other problem is that like obviously Pearl's great for that. It's their bread and butter. But for a lot of your other channels, you just like I think a gamer tag one of our buddies who's been doing this since the PSVR days, even though it's a full-time gig for him, it's like you can only cover you have to like decide what you can spend the time on, especially when it
Yeah.
takes you it, like we don't just shit out reviews.
No, and there's something said too about like getting a timely review out. I mean, I got Triangle Strategy out a 2 days late. Didn't play the game until it launched, unfortunately. And that's a 40+ hour RPG that I crushed in as few. I didn't beat the game yet. I'm getting there, but I played the hell out of that just to get a review out. I think I got out Tuesday, so 4 or 5 days after. It's not pulling that well, because I missed that window. And I was gonna say, so the next week, not I guess, yeah, next week, I believe Starship Troopers comes out and on Quest. We're not going to talk about it, but it comes out for PC VR, and PSVR 2 weeks later. And I wonder, so will we have coverage for the Quest version? Absolutely. Will we be coverage for the PSVR 2 and PC version? I mean, it'll have to depend upon what's changed between the Quest version, because if not much has changed, then there probably won't be any more coverage. So,
Yeah, you can read between the lines there.
so Quest, with Quest now being the current priority headset for any developer or publisher, this program, it does everything skews Quest. It does skew Meta, but that's where the industry is at right now. Like this program isn't like causing this. Isn't like this is the program's causing this effect. Meta's already all over this industry like nobody else. They are putting out like games like nobody else, and it's all built for them. The mixed reality stuff, like that headset's getting the most attention. No one, like, not even the Apple Vision Pro, which that lasted 2 weeks of buzz before that was just gone. That's Apple. I mean, PlayStation VR, I mean, we get blips of it, it here and there as far as mainstream goes, but
I don't
it's not
think it's,
Meta.
I don't think
Meta's,
it's a lack. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was saying, but Meta's putting in the work and the money to push VR forward. And if you don't like that, like where VR is going, then get off the ride, man, because like these guys are directing where this whole industry is going.
Yeah,
And
and I mean,
it's not hooked to a console. I'm sorry, like it's not going to be wired to a console. Like next generation of VR, there will not be wires, man. If there is, it'll be insane. Like, it's going to all be Airlink. It's going to all be, because to me the wire days are done. It's just we're just kind of at the tail end of it.
Sony's next headset, if there is another headset, will not be wired.
Man, honestly, this is a conversation, but I don't think Sony can do another headset. They botched this so much.
I think Sony might have another headset.
This is a whole topic now, because I would love to talk about this.
Yeah, that's another topic. So we'll say that for another day. Let's just, I mean, look, we have said in the previous episode that we did hear that Sony, not PlayStation, was working on a wireless headset. Don't know where that's at. Haven't heard anything from that for a long time. I feel like if Sony makes another headset, it needs to be a standalone ecosystem. So that would be great for them.
For everybody, man.
I mean, but even if it's a PlayStation something, like where it's its own console though, and it's not like irking the flat gamers. You know what I mean? Like that's by mixing the message there. And please buy our headset. Buy our headset to attach to your system. That is that is a completely different episode. But I just wanted to say, I think even though the industry might be like undeniably headed standalone, and I understand why, I think it's important to know that, like, I can speak for Ryan and I and a lot of the other content creators that we know, like, especially like all of us who have other headsets, we don't want it to be standalone, at least not right now. Not really. Like I said, I didn't want to play Metro, Alien, Starship Troopers, Zombie Army, Behemoth, and, well, Batman, we had no choice. But with all of those other big titles that are coming at us, I don't want to play any of them on the Quest first, or at all. Not preferably. Like, I want.
We want to see VR at its absolute best.
I want to. I mean, I want to. Like, I've done my time, like playing on like PlayStation, and when I knew there was PC, and and Gear VR before that, and like all these things, like I've you know what I mean? Like, it's like I want to play it the best way possible, and I can, whether it be on PSVR 2 or PC. That's where I want to play it. It's like it's not a like that's the biggest thing is it's like it's not that like content creators of this industry like is like trying to bury the PlayStation or PC VR. It's like we're like I think we're like desperately cheerleading for it. It's just the realities of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Meta's also making it like really hard for anyone to get into that space. Like and I have mixed feelings about that. As much as I'm
I
sitting here
get it.
saying
I
like
mean,
as much as we're saying Meta is putting in the time, the effort, the money, and they're cheerleading it, and they're almost like starting to get into like a mass market monopoly on it in some ways.
Mhm.
I also have mixed feelings around that too.
Oh, I
Be-
agree. I'm not saying like I'm not like pro meta in that regard, but it doesn't change um where the industry's heading and who's leading it. And if we want to go anti meta, well, I'd be missing out on a lot of VR experiences. So like it's
Yep. I mean it's getting there. It's getting to that place where it's like and this is Meta's probably their objective with some of these titles like Asgard's Wrath and Batman. You kind of almost have to have a meta headset. If you're a VR enthusiast, I feel like you have to kind of like, you know what I mean? I'll compare it to this. I was a couple years ago. I remember hearing a some video game journalist saying that the great thing about Nintendo, and the way that they were positioning the Switch, was that you either bought a PlayStation or an Xbox. Those were your decisions, or a PC. You picked one of those three, and then you also bought a Switch. It was like not part of the conversation. It was like if you wanted to play Nintendo's game, if you wanted to play the Marios, the Kirby's, the Zeldas, and or you wanted to play like, you know, portable gaming, and it's been
yeah.
like that for a couple generations now. It was pretty much you picked your big gun. That's where you played all the big releases, and then you bought a Switch. And it was like, and that's kind of where I think Quest is starting to position themselves. It's like, okay, you can have your PC VR and your PSVR 2 VR. Those are where your bangers are. You also have to
And
have
if
a
you want to play
Switch.
them on your Quest and a big screen, we have that option too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're just covering. That's the thing. I mean, we've talked about they're covering all their bases
Yeah.
from Xbox Game Pass to like, you know, Prime Video and the internet and porn and mixed reality and all this stuff. I mean, I don't want to get into that, but I just feel like it contributes to that point where it's like, okay, have your big headset to play the big premium games, and then you also kind of have to have a Quest. And I feel like that it's more and more they're starting to position themselves at, especially when they bring it up for $300.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it is what it is. It's gonna be a meta Christmas.
And on that note, our affiliate links are in the description below. If you want I mean, they will be, but I mean, once again,
Get away, Mark. Get away.
yeah, no, I think that just about covers it as far as the program goes. I hope that helps clear things up with you, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe everyone just thinks we're liars and we're just in their pocket. I would love to
They're like, absolutely, that's exactly what I thought. They are absolute whores.
yeah.
No,
Like I said,
I mean,
I'll sell out, but unfortunately, right now, Meta's not giving us enough to do that. But trust me, when I sell out, there'll be signs.
hey, you know, you kind of said it, but if Sony brought in a creator program like this, and let's say it was like a situation where it was like you can only pick one, that'd be a tough situation.
That'd be tough. That would be tough. Nah, I don't know if it'd be tough right now. Man, Sony just
It's a weird situation.
I said I don't always like this. I always like sound like slamming Sony, but man, just I really
They
hope
just
Aliens is awesome and Behemoth is awesome on PSVR too.
hey,
I
like
mean, Metro's good. Metro's good on PS. I shouldn't say like it's just like the last thing, but Metro's kicking ass.
hey, if Met, I mean, I'm pretty sure at the end of this year, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I haven't played all these games, but I'm just saying, if I was a betting man, I would say as a PSVR 2 owner, I'm gonna have Behemoth, Metro, and Alien, and be pretty happy with
Bro,
my
yeah, I hope so. I really hope that
I'm gonna
all
be
those
pretty
games.
happy with my headset
Yeah.
going into Christmas, and there are gonna be some really
You didn't
awesome.
mention Starship Troopers.
Oh, I guess in Hitman remake.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
That's right. That's right. December sometime.
Right, and that's good. Sony needs
And then
something
they are getting
that's them.
uh
Arcane Age, baby.
Arcane Age, thank you. And that comes out in I think
Ooh.
January. I think January 16th.
January.
Or
Yeah,
something like that.
it's like 14,
And that's
16.
PSVR 2 and PC, right? Or is it,
Yeah,
but
just
that looks,
two.
man. If you guys missed that, our games of the year, man, we got so jacked up over Arcane Age. We were talking about our.
Have you seen the new trailer though?
Yeah,
And they just keep throwing stuff in the trailer, like more weapons, more upgrades, more. I'm like, oh, there's no way. Like, I'm just like, you're not a big studio. Why does this look so good? Like,
because they're an amazing studio. Vitruvius VR, Vitruvius Games, Vitruvius something for sure. Those guys know, love, and breathe VR.
but they have never done anything on the scale of what they're showing. And so I'm still like, is it gonna be like kind of 2-dimensional? Like, I'm like, because it looks better than Behemoth. Like, it does. It looks amazing. It kind of looks like Stormland a little bit. Like, I'm getting some Stormland vibes from it. But obviously different. But I mean, not to get off on a tangent, but like we talked about how Half-Life Alyx looks so good because it didn't care about mobile VR. It was just like, nope, this is where we're making this game. That's Arcane Age.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then of course there's the what you call it? Damn it, I'm totally derping on the flying game for PSVR 2. The Thunder
Project Wingman?
No, God, no. No.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, like, I'm supposed to know.
Oh my God. War Thunder, right? But it's a standalone. It's not the free to play thing that I mean everyone is just like screaming at the TV right now who's watching this. It's that game.
Who's watching YouTube on their television?
Shush. We're TV stars, shut up.
One day, Chris, one day, but not today.
No.
I mean, War Thunder. I don't know what you're talking about. You're just making
Aces of Thunder.
Oh, Aces of Thunder. Sure.
Which looks AAA as F2, right? And there's no release date on that though, right? And that's what made me think of it because Arcane Age is in January, and I saw some people. It might have been I don't know who it was on X. It was like they were listing all the games that are coming, and they're like, "Where's Aces of Thunder?" And I was like, "We don't need it. Let's chill." Like, we got a ton of games coming out, like bangers coming out this fall. And then Arcane Age in January. Hey, give it to us in March, April. Like, we're good.
Yeah, January's usually a crappy time for everything, entertainment-wise.
It's a weird time to drop it.
Post-Christmas. Well, they were trying to make it before Christmas, right? They were optimistically hoping to get there. And I think they just I think, honestly, I think it came down to the fact that it's just so busy this year.
Yeah, don't do it. No.
Yeah, I agree. You don't want this game. You want this game to stand out, and it will definitely stand out in January. That's for damn sure.
If they get that game with that trailer in the store as a pre-order game, you'll get some Christmas money going towards that.
I want to see Sony actually promote this one, man.
Back the shit out of it.
Yeah, man. Like Alien. Look, Alien's going to be covered for sure. Metro has plenty of coverage. Behemoth is, Skydance is already doing their legwork on that. But outside of the only guys promoting this right now are Vitruvius. Like, come on, Sony, man. Like, you have a bang. Well, I shouldn't say I don't know for sure, I guess, but goddamn, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does. And I feel like I'm waiting patiently and hopefully, fingers crossed, for Sony to get behind a game and promote it as a PSVR 2 game and like a PC VR game. You know what I mean? Like, because they've done that adapter, like push it as both like a I don't know if they'll ever do that, but I feel like this would be the game, like to really push home. Like, out of all the games we've talked about, it's not on mobile. It's not gonna be on mobile.
You don't know that.
Well, let's hope it doesn't.
I don't think Vitruvius ever made a Quest game. I don't think any of their first two came to Quest.
They don't seem to care, at least not right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have to look it up and see it, but yeah, I agree. That's definitely this is their focus.
You know, I'm just You know what I'm just waiting for, and I'm just waiting for Valve to announce a Quest 3 version of Half-Life Alyx, and then just see like all these PSVR 2 headsets just cut the rip. just Fuck. I was gonna say when you were talking about Steve, when you were talking about Steve Knows saying he got rid of like starting to do reviews because it was positive. I was gonna make that joke. I was like, if you want positivity and good times, go to Steve Knows. If you want to cut your wrists and feel shitty about your purchase, come to the VR Grid. We'll tell you why your game has flaws.
Yeah, we'll point all the flaws out. All right, Crink. I think we've talked enough, Chris. What do you think?
I think we're done.
I think so too. Guys, sorry we couldn't do this live. Once again, hopefully we'll be back live next week. My work schedule just kind of surprised me with a random day where I would be out of town essentially the whole day. Like I'm hoping I'll be home within 14 hours, but we'll see how it goes. So this isn't the norm. As soon as we can get back to being live, hopefully next week we'll be live again. Yeah, Chris.
I will have been in chat the whole time with everyone.
Hopefully I will be too. Maybe I'll make my buddy drive home and I'll be online in chat harassing Chris.
You know what? You guys can leave a comment in there. How many of you over the last few episodes have you even noticed that it was?
Oh, your audio cut out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was the first time just right now.
I was gonna say, how many of you have even noticed that this isn't live? Ryan and I were joking that we'd just in the middle of the episode, like, ha, 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 Salvador, you silly bastard. Oh, thanks, Void, for joining us today.
Yeah,
just
triangulator.
You're just right about everything you said. All right. Speaking of being right about everything they said, bye, Ryan.
Goodbye, Chris.